My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Over the Hedge. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But this is one of those DreamWorks movies that never gets talked about, but I feel like it should. This is actually a really good movie, and I find it to be underappreciated. I do have plenty of nostalgia for it. I watched this movie all the time as a kid, but it still holds up. So let's begin talking about the cast. And Bruce Willis is fantastic in this movie. I legitimately mean that. At no point did it sound like RJ was voiced by Bruce Willis. He just becomes this character and he nailed every beat he needed to. This might actually be his most underrated performance because he really stood out to me here. Gary Shandling, I think, does a very good job. He sounds a little odd, but it fits the character. Steve Carell brings plenty of crazy energy to Hammy, and he definitely stands out. Allison Janney is so fantastic here. She plays the most insufferable villain ever. She's the president of the Homeowners Association, and just anytime she's on screen, I can't stand her, and that means she did what she needed to. Thomas Hayden Church is barely in this movie, but he still leaves a real impression. He brings plenty of personality to this guy. Nick Nolte is great, because here's the truth. Vincent shouldn't be homicidal, but RJ did destroy all his food, so him wanting all of it back is perfectly understandable. But it's the way he comes across that sells him as the villain. He just nails everything he needed to, and I thought he came across as a real threat. Wanda Sykes brought plenty of personality to her character. William Shatner and Avril Lavigne, I thought, did a pretty good job, and Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara do a perfectly fine job. So, just like all DreamWorks movies, pretty much, the cast really does stand out. The characters are memorable, and I love that about this movie. I thought the score by Rupert Gregson-Williams was good. It's not my favorite DreamWorks score, but I do love the track The Family Awakens. It's the soundtrack by Ben Folds, though, that gives this movie a unique sense of identity. I love the tracks Family of Me, Heist, Still, and the family-friendly version of Walking the Suburbs. Just really great soundtrack that fits this movie so incredibly well. I also do think this movie can be really clever and funny, just the way RJ describes the lives of humans and how they rely on food. I thought it was just a really great angle. And Hammy's definitely like the character that kids will love the most. Kind of like Scrat in Ice Age, kind of like the Minions in Despicable Me. And I do like him enough, but I think the scene at the end where he saves the day is the standout. Kind of reminds me of Quicksilver in Days of Future Past, but this movie did it first. This movie also does rely on like lots of exaggerated smells, like when Stella poofs, just yeah, and then when he opens the bag of chips, poof. So I don't mind the exaggerated humor in this movie either, so it manages to be funny enough. But what I really like about this movie is the story. It is a typical Laurel's Revealed story where this guy is lying to these characters and you're just waiting for them to find out the truth. there's going to be a moment of sadness, but then the character will do the right thing. It is very predictable and it is nothing new. But it actually has emotional weight. The scene where RJ leaves them all behind and decides to give the wagon filled with food to Vincent is actually like really sad. Like in that moment, RJ is completely unlikable. He is an evil scumbag. And you understand him, but it's still not justified. And you feel the betrayal to the family. And I think that's what really works about this movie, is that you buy the fact that this selfish asshole actually comes to kill for other people, and you want him to reject his old self by the end. You want him to put this family first. And you get that. And I think the character work of RJ is just great. He becomes part of this family, and I don't know, it hits me in the feels. I think it's a very heartwarming aspect of this movie. Like, sure, it's not all uphill, but that's what makes it worth it in the end. It's the ups and downs. I also love Vaughn's comments to RJ at the end of the movie. Well, he's like, if you just told us that you were going to get killed by a homicidal Bill, we would have helped you. And it just means that he didn't have to go through all this lying. He just needed to kill for them. And it just, the movie's about what it means to be a family. So, I think it does a good job with that plot. So, yeah, like, I don't really have any real issues with this movie. I don't think it gets to the level of Shrek, Shrek 2, or Chicken Run, or other movies I'll be talking about later, but I still think this is actually a great movie. The characters are well written, the movie gets me to care about them, the movie has emotional weight when needed, it can be very funny and smart, the soundtrack is great, it's a very entertaining movie, like I could just watch this movie whenever. It is just an easy movie to watch. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and give Over the Hedge an 8 out of 10. This is one of those movies where I'm shocked it never got a sequel. But Over the Hedge, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for more videos soon, and Gavin out.